Welcome to Wednesday of week 5. Mr. G on with you. As promised a little earlier than I have been doing with my normal Monday videos concerning the new week. We are going to go ahead and kick into week 6 today, just so you have at least a week, if not a week and a couple of days, to get all that stuff taken care of. Here's the trick. Week 6 for our continuing education, of course, brings us to our final topic, which was algebra. This was the point that we were at right as we hit spring break, and then everything went crazy. So unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to come back and do that final week of just polishing off the concepts of algebra to make sure that you were ready to go into state test review, which is what would have happened. But I still believe you'd be all right with this lesson set. So as I said, it is all about algebra. So we've got expressions. We've got equations, and how you're going to work through that? Well, you've got your notes. You've got Study Island's lessons. You have all the resources you need. I have no doubt you will be fine. 3 Study Islands, 1 Pearson. This is the final week of our continuing education, which means this is the final week of the school year, week 6. I know I'm starting it early with this Wednesday. You have until next Thursday to get it done so I can get that final grade in for those report cards that you will be receiving somehow. I don't know if it's in the mail or how we're going to do that. But at any rate, here we go. Algebra. As I said, this was a whole new concept. It was a matter of getting you to break down the fear of the term so that you're not scared of the idea of algebra. It's really not that difficult. As I said at the very beginning, algebra is simply put, math with symbols and letters and some operations and numbers. And you're sometimes finding the unknown, sometimes creating function tables. It's all about what the problem asks you to do. So you have to be paying attention to what the problem's telling you to do. That's the important part, and for some of you, the trickiest part. Of course, my board's come back with some quick tips for you. Again, algebra, expressions. Yes, you must make sure that you are able to go from verbal to the written, which means you go back into your notes, and we did that little foursquare that talked about how there are certain words that are key for certain operations, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. If you don't, for whatever reason, have that journal, you have your notes available. I emailed them to you weeks back now, all the notes for all the school year. Also, of course, PEMDAS comes up because there's a lot of the multiple step operations that you go through during algebra to get used to that concept. PEMDAS, remember what that is, of course. Nah, we're not talking about your dear Aunt Sally. Don't even start that. We're talking about parentheses, or any grouping symbols. Exponents. Down the road, those also involve square roots, but you're not there, just exponents. Then, and this is the one that was always the troublesome one for you guys at first, multiply or divide. They're together. Whatever happens first, moving left to right across the problem. Then, adding or subtracting. Again, whatever occurs first, moving left to right across the problem. If it's subtraction first, you subtract first. If it's dividing first, you divide first. But multiplying, dividing a group together, adding, subtracting a group together. That didn't change. I hope you remember that. There will be some of those types of problems in your study islands this extended week 6. And lastly, of course, we're talking about equations. Now, equations is what we left off on, literally left off on the idea of solving for equations. Now, solving for equations, I'm sorry, let me open that back up for a second. All about finding the value of the unknown, the variable. And how do you do that? Well, you have to get the variable by itself, isolating it. And we do that through the process of what's called inverse operations. So if the equation has you adding, you're going to do the opposite of adding, which would be subtracting. Subtracting the constants from both sides, and you would end up with your variable equaling whatever value that would be. If you're multiplying, opposite operation. Dividing, same process. So that's what's going down this week, extended, like I keep saying that. And then you're done. That's it. It's got to be done, though, by next Thursday. Next Thursday. Don't forget that, because grades have to be turned in by Thursday according to the big boss. So all work done by next Thursday. You have until the end of this week on your journals to get those sent to me with proof that you have them still, for an opportunity for those journal grades. Why is that important? Before I close off, let's talk about that. Let's say that you have maybe a 67% and you would like to try and get it up before the end of the school year, and you're still doing the study islands, you're doing something, it's slowly increasing. I told you before, the journal grade is a big chunk that only happens once per semester. And if you can get that grade in, that is going to immediately lift your grade multiple points, possibly getting you into that C range. It's a good chance of it. So all I'm asking for is a picture proof of your contract with your name on it, so I know you're not borrowing from a friend, and then a picture of your table of contents. Get it emailed to me. You can remind through it. You can Facebook DM, whatever process you or your parents can get in contact with me, and that gives you those points for the journal grade. Keep it up. I appreciate it. I'm going to get back on with you next week again, just a reminder, and close out this school year, weird school year, strong, hopefully. So take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your week. Get done with algebra. Maybe you finish your schoolwork for math a week early. It's possible. Some of you will do it. Good job. We'll see you next time.